In the lecture series on Introduction to Radar System, we are now going to discuss the radar antenna. Well, antennas are, it is the interface between guided medium with the unguided medium, or we can define antenna as an entity that converts electric current or voltage into equivalent electric and magnetic fields and vice versa. In radar application, we have several primary functions of antenna. First function is the impedance transformation. That means free space intrinsic impedance to transmission line characteristic impedance. This transformation is done by the antenna. Propagation mode adapter. It behaves like propagation mode adapter. So free space fields to guided waves. Then it can behave like special filters. Radiation pattern to direction dependent sensitivity. Something like this. And finally, polarization filter. So polarization dependent sensitivity. So different type of antennas are used in radar system. Maybe horn antenna, mostly horn antenna are used as feed parabolic reflector antennas. Then nowadays patch antennas are also used in connection with radar. Helical antennas are also used. So various type of antennas are used for radar application. The meaning of special filter. Antennas have the property of being more sensitive in one direction than in another, which provides the ability to specially filter signals from its environment. So if you consider this radiation pattern of the directive antenna, you will see that the power flowing in this direction, the horizontal direction, is much larger compared to any other direction. So it allows the power to flow within a specific region of space, and it will restrict the power flow in other directions. So in this way it behaves like a special filter. Polarization filter. Antennas have the property of being more sensitive in one polarization than another, which provides the ability to filter signals based on its polarization. Now, polarization may be of different type. Linear polarization is there, then circular polarization is there, elliptical polarization is there. For the sake of simplicity, let us assume plane polarization. So for plane polarization, electric field lies in a particular plane, and that particular plane is in the transverse direction to that of the direction of propagation, and it will not change its orientation. So if electric field is vertical, it will remain vertical. So this type of polarization is the plane polarization. So consider the dipole antenna. So here V equal to H dot E, and H is the height of the antenna is Z cap H. So this is the Z direction. So V is equal to H into E0. That is the voltage. Now incident electric field vector, if it is along Y cap, so this is the direction of antenna and this is the direction of electric field, we are getting some voltage. Now if for the same antenna, vertical antenna, if the direction of incident electric field is just right angle to the previous one, this is in the Z direction, now we have the electric field in the Y direction, but at that moment the output voltage will be 0, because antenna is polarization sensitive, and since the electric field, incident electric field and the antenna, they are under crossed condition, so it will not receive anything, so voltage will be 0. So this is the example of polarization filter. Based on its state of polarization, it will change the value of the output signal. Rather, the output signal will change depending on the state of polarization of the incoming signal with respect to the polarization state of the antenna. Now consider the terms related to antennas. First one is the reciprocity. Behavior is the same regardless of transmitter or receiver operation. That is not true if non-reciprocal components used along with the antenna, like amplifier. If it is used, then it will not behave like a reciprocal component. One thing you must note, that antennas are passive components, they are not active components. But if we connect some amplifier, then, and if we can connect the amplifier along with the antenna, nowadays it is possible, that becomes an active antenna. But generally antenna is a passive network. Now another term is the isotropic radiator. That means it radiates equally in every directions. But this isotropic radiator is just a concept, and it is not realizable, because any antenna should have some specified direction of sending signal more compared to the other directions. Next is the directivity, which is the concentration of radiation in a particular direction. It is symbolized by D, capital D, as a function of theta and phi. It is a two-dimensional unitless function. Another term is the gain. This is almost identical to the directivity, but it includes losses, symbolized by G, capital G. Next one is the efficiency. It is the ratio of radiated power to input power. Thinking about ohmic losses, symbolized by eta. Next is the beam width. Beam width is the angle between a radiated half power point of main lobe. Now beam width may be determined in slightly different fashion. Here we have given half power beam width, means the angular separation between two half power points, and half power point means 3 dB point, so it is also called the 3 dB beam width. But we can have first null beam width as well. So it is the angle between the two nulls of the main lobe, that is called the first null beam width. Unit is radian or degree, whatever may be. Azimuth and elevation, the spherical coordinate reference angles. One is theta, another one is the phi. Now the side lobes, a radiation lobe in any direction other than the main lobe. Then the solid angle is the two-dimensional angle measurement, symbolized by omega, and its unit is steradian. The radiation pattern is variation of the field intensity of an antenna as an angular function with respect to the axis. Generally theta and phi directions are used. So if you consider a dipole antenna like this, you will have a three-dimensional pattern of field. Sometimes power is also plotted, three-dimensional power plot. That is also a kind of radiation pattern, but we can also plot field as well. So generally radiation pattern is a function of theta and phi, and it is a three-dimensional pattern, but most of the time it is difficult to draw three-dimensional pattern. So what we do, we draw the the radiation pattern in two orthogonal planes. Generally electric field and magnetic field are chosen, or direction of electric field and direction of magnetic fields are chosen as two different planes, and corresponding planes are the called the E plane and H plane, and those planes are called the principal planes. So we plot a radiation pattern. Instead of drawing this type of three-dimensional plot pattern, we draw two-dimensional pattern in two principal planes. So that will give us the projection of the actual radiation pattern on two different planes, and from that we can guess the three-dimensional pattern if the pattern is symmetric. So this is one of the pattern. So antenna is somewhere here at 0 0. So you can see that in a particular direction, in the z direction, the amount of power is larger, and in the other direction, the just opposite direction, the amount of power is smaller. But apart from this major part of the radiation, almost all the power contained within this region, there are small powers present in other directions, like this one or this one. So these are the side lobes, and this one is the main lobe. So direction of theta, E theta, this is the E theta, this is E phi, and radially outward direction of the direction of propagation. We can calculate the beam width as is a approximate relation 65 lambda by d. D is the antenna dimension. Not exactly, but it will work. It works. Actual beam width is determined in this way. If this is the maximum power in this direction, so we go to the in any one direction, say in this direction, where the power is half of the peak value, and we go in the opposite direction where the power is half of the maximum value, and then we take the angle between them. So these points are called the half power points. These points where the power is half of the peak value. So two half power points making certain angle at the center or origin. That angle is the half power beam width. Or we can draw two lines joining the null. Null means the zeros. So here we have, in this direction we have a null, in this direction. Here in this direction we have a null, in this direction. So angle between two null is the first null beam width. So that is how we can define beam width. Another term is the directivity. The ratio of the radiation intensity in a given direction from the antenna to the radiation intensity averaged over all directions. So we can write d theta phi equal to Fn theta phi divided by 1 by 4 pi integration over total solid angle 4 pi Fn theta phi d omega. So this Fn theta phi is the normalized radiation intensity or the radiation pattern. Unit is watt per steradian. The maximum directivity D0 found for the case where Fn equal to 1. So that is equal to 4 pi divided by integration over the solid angle Fn theta phi d omega, that is equal to 4 pi by omega p. Omega p is a kind of beam area, and it can be written in this way: the beam width along xz direction and yz direction, rather xz plane and yz plane. So accordingly, the maximum directivity is 4 pi by beta xz beta yz. So given d0, d can be determined by multiplying it with Fn theta phi. Now consider gain. The ratio of the power at the input of a loss-free reference antenna to the power supplied to the input of the given antenna to produce in a given direction the same field strength at the same distance. Of the total power Pt supplied to the antenna, a part P0 is radiated out into space and the remainder PL is dissipated as heat in the antenna structure. The radiation efficiency eta L is defined as the ratio of P0 to Pt. So eta L equal to P0 by Pt. Gain is related to directivity in this way: G equal to eta 1 into D. Corresponding maximum gain and maximum directivity, G0 equal to eta L into D0. This is how we define it. The functional equivalent area from which an antenna directed towards the source of the received signal gathers or absorbs the energy of an incident electromagnetic wave. This is how effective area is described. It can be shown that the maximum directivity D0 of an antenna is related to an effective area in this way, that D0 equal to 4 pi A effective divided by lambda square. Now effective area may be related to the physical aperture or geometrical aperture AP by multiplying it with eta A. It is the aperture efficiency. So effective equal to eta A into AP, or eta A equal to A effective by AP. This is the aperture efficiency. Its value is from 0 to 1. So A effective equal to lambda square by omega p, that is nearly equal to lambda square by beta xz beta yz. Now for a rectangular aperture with dimensions Lx and Ly in the xy axis, and an ideal aperture efficiency assuming its eta equal to 1, beta xz nearly equal to lambda by Lx and beta yz nearly equal to lambda by Ly. So the maximum gain and the effective area can be used interchangeably by assuming a value for the radiation efficiency 1. So G0 equal to 4 pi by lambda square eta 1 into A effective, that is equal to A effective 4 pi by lambda square nearly equal to, that is equal to 4 pi by beta xz beta yz. So A effective is nearly equal to G0 lambda square by 4 pi. So if you consider an example for a 30 centimeter by 10 centimeter aperture, this one, the frequency is 10 gigahertz, so corresponding lambda is 3 centimeter. Beta xz is nearly equal to 0.1 radian, beta yz is nearly equal to 0.3 radian, so corresponding g0 is nearly equal to 26 dBi. So this is the gain. 26 dBi will be the gain. Now the bandwidth of antenna. Antenna's bandwidth is the range of operating frequencies over which the antenna meets the operational requirements, including spatial properties, means radiation characteristics, polarization properties, impedance properties, and propagation mode properties. Most antenna technologies can support operation over a frequency range that is 5 to 10% of the central frequency, meaning nearly 10 MHz bandwidth at 2 GHz operating frequency. If you want to achieve wideband operation, and for that we require specialized antenna technology like bow tie or something like that, that will enhance the effective bandwidth more than 10%, maybe of the order of 20% of the carrier frequency or more. Now consider the Friis transmission formula. At a fixed distance r from the transmitting antenna, the power intercepted by the receiver antenna Pi with effective aperture AR can be written as Pi equal to SR into AR. Now, SR is PT/GT divided by 4 pi r square. So SR is the receive power density and GT is the peak gain of the transmitting antenna. So considering these two apertures, transmitting aperture, receiving aperture, PT is the transmitted power, PR is the received power, AT is the aperture of the transmitter antenna, AR is the aperture of the receiver antenna. If the radiation efficiency of the receiving antenna is it will be eta r, it is, I don't know why it is coming h, it will be eta r, then PR, the power received at the receiving antenna's output terminal, can be written as PR into eta r into Pi. PR equal to eta r into Pi. So putting the value, we can write PT divided by 4 pi r square GT eta r into AR. So we can write PR by Pi equal to lambda by 4 pi r whole square GT GR, that is eta T eta r AT AR by lambda square r square. This one is called the Friis transmission formula. So general form of Friis transmission formula can be written that doesn't assume the antennas are oriented to achieve maximum power transfer. So that can be written as PR by PT equal to lambda by 4 pi r whole square GT as a function of theta T phi T, GR as a function of theta r phi r. So theta T phi T is the direction of the receiving antenna in the transmitting antenna coordinates, and vice versa for theta r phi r. Now for this derivation we have neglected the polarization effect. If we add this polarization effect, we have to include the polarization mismatch. So we include the term P, that is the polarization matching factor, in the previous expression. So that will, this P is now coming into the picture, where P can be defined as h dot ei cap h dot ei whole square magnitude divided by magnitude of h and magnitude of ei square, and h is the antenna's effective height. Sometimes it is also called length. ei is the incident electric field. So this is the complete phase transmission formula, including all the uh, effects. Now beam shape is another parameter, and it is a very important parameter for radar antenna, because radar are of different type. Searching radar is there, tracking radars are there. So based on the application, we need different type of antenna beam. Sometimes we need a very narrow beam, sometimes we need a beam that is narrow in the horizontal direction but wider in horizontal direction, so that it can scan a major portion of the sky, important portion of the sky, from where the target can come towards the radar. So different shape of the antenna beam are useful, and radar engineers, rather antenna engineers, used to shape the antenna beam accordingly. Nowadays, array of antennas are used to produce different shape of beam, and we can actually engineer the beam shape coming out from the antenna or array of antenna. So this is the pencil beam. The beam width is very narrow in every direction, so it is almost parallel beam. Sometimes we need fan beams. So fan beam in the horizontal direction, the width is smaller. In vertical direction, the width is larger. So this type of beam is the fan beam. Now we can have some engineer can modify those fan beams to produce different shape, like cosecant squared antenna beam. It is a basically fan beam but modified fan beam. So gain in the elevation angle is proportional to the square of the cosecant of the elevation angle. So elevation gain is g phi equal to g phi 0 cosec square phi divided by cosec square phi 0 for phi 0 to phi m. Value of phi is phi 0 to phi m. So you can engineer the shape of the beam. Different type of beams are there, so depending on the antenna requirement, we can engineer the beam shape, and that beam shape is also a very important parameter for the radar engineers. So thanks for your attention. We will meet in the next class.